Welcome to episode 17 of The Extraordinary Marriage. I have a treat for you. This is a friend that I have met in a Facebook group. You know, we're all over the place these days. We're on the internet. We are on our phones texting, and Facebook groups are a great place to meet people. So I want to introduce to you today, Lani Jackson. Tell us a little bit about you, Lani.
Well, I'm so excited to be on this podcast with you, and thank you for inviting me. I am a business strategist, and I also am a mindset coach, and I work with women entrepreneurs to help them create customized business strategies that fit with their time, energy, and lifestyle they want to create with their business. And I'm also a mom of 6 kiddos. And
Whoa.
I've been married for 18 years. My husband and I have been together for 23 years. So I can tell you I like him a lot.
Oh, and that's an important thing to be able to say, I like him a lot.
Yes.
Sometimes whenever I've said to somebody, it's really important to like your spouse. And they're like,
Mhm.
what do you mean like them? I'm like, don't you like your spouse? Because it's hard to live with somebody if you don't like them, right?
Oh, yeah. I tell him all the time he's my favorite person. And I really he's my best friend. We have a really fun relationship, but he's also my lover, of course. And it's multifaceted. And I really love being married to him. And it's been, yeah, I could brag about him a little bit, but we really have fun together. I mean, you have to when you have 6 kids. You have to embrace the chaos. You either laugh or you cry. There's one or two.
Okay, I'm going to steal those words. Embrace the chaos.
Yes, that's kind of our family lifestyle. We just have fun with chaos. It's really, we have all of our kids are really close in age, and so we also adopted our youngest 3 from foster care. I didn't birth all 6 of
Oh,
them, so
beautiful.
we have quite the story with how we came to be a family of 6. And when the last one came home, finally, their ages were 7, 5, 3, 3, 1, and 1. So it was a lot all at once. I feel like I might have blacked out for a few months there, but yeah, we just had to kind of roll with it.
You
They're
know,
much older now, though.
what do they say? If it doesn't kill us, it makes us stronger, right?
It absolutely did.
And Lonnie, that's even a little bit like a blended family where 2 families come together, where all 3 of those kids in the same family.
They are same mom and same dad biologically, yes.
Oh, oh, well, that's awesome. And I always say that it takes special people to do just that kind of thing, to make that decision to take in 3 more children to take care of and nurture and teach and raise and that kind of thing. So that's awesome. And that is something that's fun here on the Extraordinary Marriage podcast. So we get to know people, the things we don't know, about people. So we're in a Facebook group together. So when you tell the name of your group.
It's the Brilliant Mompreneurs Society.
All right. And that's why I'm there, because, I want to connect with moms, because we all want to be able to say we like our spouse. So I'm going to ask you a question on that. Typically, people who communicate well or understand each other or are able to listen to one another tend to have better marriages. But, we don't get to choose that, because if our spouse is not a listener or not empathetic or not thoughtful, then, we can't just fix that. And it's very frustrating. So how about you and your husband? When you talk about personality style, communication style, how would you describe that?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's learned and evolved throughout all of we're still working on it. I think it's an active evolving thing that we work on, and we communicate and ask questions to make sure clarifying. This is something that he and I have recently tried to even level up more, is really repeating back what I interpreted what he said, because I'm listening, and what I think I'm hearing, I'm still filtering through my own voice and
Mm-hmm.
my own way of processing things. And I know myself, sometimes I'll listen and I'm like, no, that's what you said. And he's like, no, this is what I meant. And we're still filtering it through our own way of thinking. So we've I don't know about personalities. We haven't gone too far into some of that, but definitely one of the things that has helped us in the real recent past has been repeating back. So did you mean this, or did you want this? and ask, like saying it back to them so that they say, no, 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 that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. Or yes, that's exactly what I want. And I felt like that step has been game changer for communication.
Very, very good. I like that. And when you repeat something back to the other person, it also shows them that you were listening to them.
Yes.
So now I will say for my husband, who's awesome, also, I like my husband, but he doesn't like for me to ask questions. He thinks I'm interrogating. And instead of, I'm actually asking to clarify so that I can find out more details. And I ask for way more details of something because I want to understand everything. And he doesn't really like me to ask questions. So let me ask you, there are 4 different personality styles. So let me just ask you this. I'm going to give you 4 words and you can tell me which one you think describes you most. That direct person who is direct, dynamic, that person who is influencing or extremely talkative, that person who is a supporter and always supports the other person, always says yes to most things. That's one of the big keys on that one. Or that person who is usually correct. They pay attention to the details and they study and analyze everything.
I'm probably more of the supporter and in like maybe a little bit of the influencer in there too, depending on what mood I'm in.
There you go.
But I definitely am more of the supporter. I usually will just say yes initially and then think about what I want, or just agree to whatever is said, or I want somebody else to make the decision because it just is easier for me, or I want to make sure that they get what they want first. So I
Uh-huh.
definitely have that tendency. But I also am an influencer on the side where I like to influence people to make the decisions I want without having to tell them what I want.
Right. Okay. So, and then which one would you pick for your husband?
He's more direct. He's definitely a more direct person. He likes being straightforward, and he usually is pretty like, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, and pretty straightforward.
To the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So I could tell you that those 2 particular styles, um, as long as you in your childhood have learned to like be respectful and kind and thoughtful, because, all kids don't learn that stuff,
Oh
we
no.
learn whatever from our parents. And so if both styles know those kind of things, then those are great because like whenever he is, getting a little overly excited or upset about something, then you're like making the peace, right?
Yep. Oh yeah. Definitely a peacemaker. I'm a second child. I'm second born. I'm definitely the peacemaker, and I have a interesting childhood, but I took care of a lot of my siblings. And so I definitely have that make everybody happy kind of thing. But I've also learned, and he's really encouraged me, that I don't always have to make everybody happy. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
always have to be the peacemaker. And it's okay to say what I'm feeling instead of internalizing it all, or saying that, thinking I can't say it because it might upset someone.
So actually, he's quite the blessing because
He really is.
typically, your spouse does not try to get you to share more or that kind of thing. And to be honest, he has done just the exact right thing for you because this is the kind of stuff I coach on. He's
Mm-hmm.
done exactly the right thing for you because you always typically in that personality style tend to always do whatever is best for other people and rarely will usually do the best thing for yourself. Actually, my husband is also your style
Oh,
and he's
really?
super easy to get along with. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I turned 40 this year, and one of the things this year is really kind of tried to change is to say, I'm no longer just going to initially say yes. I'm going to stop and think about what I want and give myself permission to. I'm 40 years old. It's okay. I'm allowed to now. Right? I feel like I've earned my stripes, right? And my husband was integral of encouraging me this, because I have been in situations where I didn't use my voice and was taken advantage of or hurt very,
Hmm.
very, very hard, like a lot of trauma. And really having this opportunity to have somebody next to me encouraging me to use my voice like this has been a game changer, to learn a new way to step out of like what would be the tendency. Just because it is our tendency doesn't mean we have to stay that way. And that was, if I can encourage somebody else, like, you can stand up and learn new patterns and new ways to use your voice. Just because you've
Mhm.
always done it this way, or that's how your personality is, doesn't mean we're stuck that way.
And, Lonnie, I think a lotly that you, as this easygoing personality style, have learned to do that because you're an entrepreneur and because you
Mhm.
are growing, growing, growing all the time. And way too often, couples get comfortable in their relationship. And eventually, whatever is just comfortable may become stale, or, if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yes.
And marriage is the same way. And it starts with each of us as an individual that need to grow in some kind of area. And to be honest, I find growth exciting. And by the way, you are the age of my daughter. She just turned 40 this year. Also, big number, right?
Yes, it was. It was one of those things I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, but I actually am like, 40 is amazing. And it was a great year for me and a big momentous year for me to just kind of step into this new version of who I want to be for the rest of my life. And saying, I'm no longer going to let it be an excuse of someday I'm going to be that person now.
There you go. Getting better and better every year.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so what would you say is, we like to talk about ups and downs because whenever we do that, everybody else gets to hear like, oh, I have that happen too. So what are some ups and downs that you guys have had through the years? Because, I do know that if you are those two styles, sometimes sometimes everybody's not quite as nice as your husband, with his personality style. See, he learned to be nice and thoughtful and he loves you, right?
Yes.
So
I think we laugh about it now looking back. We do a lot of reflection. Just us as a couple, this is part of what we like to do. We were looking back at our dating years, and I was so mad at him and embarrassed. One of the ups and downs we had is learning to communicate. I was giving him every morning, I would show up we were in college together. I would show up before class with a hot tea because I knew he loved hot tea, and I put Splenda in it because that's what I had. It's cheap. Somebody gave me a big box of Splenda, and I put Splenda in his hot tea every
I know where
day.
this is going.
And he hates Splenda. So every day he'd be like, "Oh, thank you so much." And he was like, so like made a big deal about me bringing him hot tea. And I was like, felt so good. I was doing this nice thing for him. And then every day he would dump it out. And as soon as I left for my class, and he said that a few years later, and I was so hurt. Like, just why did you not tell me? He's like, well, you were doing something so nice. I'm like, yeah, but I would have changed if you would have said something. And so one of our big ups and downs has been sometimes we'll put up with something and not say anything because we're like, oh, they're fine. It's fine. It's not what I want, but it's fine. I would be both. And on the flip side, he has a scenario too, where I was the same way. Why didn't you just tell me you didn't like that? Why didn't you just tell me it was not okay, or you were needing something from me? And we just let so much time pass. It's kind of hard to bring up, I don't really like it when you do that, instead of, so that was
It
a
keeps
lot of,
happening,
it
right?
keeps in different scenarios. So that was like when we were dating, and then when we were, a young couple with kids, how we were doing stuff in our routines, and I was just in survival mode, and he was trying to get my attention. And he told me finally, he's like, I don't like it when you do this. I feel really neglected when you do this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice. Like, because I'm just doing my thing. And a lot of times I think with the ups and downs that we've had, it's been a lot of like, I was just trying to survive, or I was
Mhm.
thinking it was okay. And there was just not that communication of, I don't really like that, or I feel this way, or I wish you would. And that's been where we've seen that really low point, is when we were not telling each other.
Because he was trying to be nice like
Yeah.
you.
And I meant same way for him. He was doing things, and I was like, I just like, whether he was playing a video game and I would come down with the baby, and he's like, I just like, I'm playing in the middle of a game, and I'm like, I'm trying to tell you something or ask you, and how do I interrupt you? Because I want to respect your time, because like when you respect my time, but how do we communicate in the right way? That's what caused a lot of the up and downs, is we were just not sure how to say, I need you, or I don't want you to do this.
Well, back in college, whenever you were taking him that tea with that Splenda in it, my husband hates Splenda. You could give him some sugar, right?
I don't like
Um,
Splenda either. I just used it because I was a broke college student, you know.
that's funny.
He thought I loved Splenda, and I was
That's
just like,
funny.
somebody gave me a box. Why not use it? Because it's like,
Well, I remember in my in our early marriage days that, I would burn a candle all the time. And my favorite scent was vanilla.
mm,
And maybe 20 years later, my husband said, I hate vanilla. I'm like,
yes,
why didn't
stuff
you
like
ever tell
that.
me?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm like committed to life to use this thing. I'm happy to change it if it's not something you prefer. I think that's just the funny thing that happens with couples, and then we kind of like get irritated. Like that scent is always like, oh, I don't like that, or I don't like this taste, and we put up with it, but it would be an easy fix.
And I burned that candle for, like I said, it must have been 20 years. There was we were having dinner with some friends, and my friend's husband said, oh, I hate vanilla. And my husband said, I hate vanilla too. And I'm like, what? What? You didn't ever tell me that. So for 20
Yeah.
years, I burnt vanilla candle, probably like a lot. So, and that's a simple little thing. And hey, I like
Mhm.
lots of different scents. I could change that. That's a tiny thing. And I always tell people, don't sweat the small stuff. And that Splenda, that was a small thing, that like, hey, honey, do you have any sugar? But you know what? He just thought you were so cute and he didn't want to say anything that might mess that
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah, that's what he says. He's like, I wasn't doing anything to rock the boat. But yeah,
That's right.
there was more hard times and ups and downs, with adding kids, and definitely going through foster care and adoption was one of the hardest experiences we've ever been through in our life. It definitely stretched us to new heights. We were fostering because we fostered first, and then we adopted after the parental termination happened.
And how old were your children whenever you started?
My biological boys were let's see, 4, 2, well, no, 5, 3, and 1 when
Oh my
we picked up
gosh.
our twins. No, let's see.
Wow. Do you know I had all three of my kids exactly that, like within 5 years? Maybe it sounds like you had them in 4 years.
Well, okay, no, I'm wrong. They were 6, 4, and 2. So my son turned 2 the day before we picked up the twins for the NICU, who were 3 weeks old. So that's what age they were. I had my brain. I tell you, I blacked out for some of this.
Weren't you busy enough with just three kids?
Well, we were fostering teenage boys before that, and we had the 3 boys. There's also we were in Detroit at the time, and there's a huge, huge foster care crisis. And
Mm.
we're just like, we have the room. And I was like, we already got babies in diapers. Let's do this. So we didn't know we were going to get twins. And then we didn't know they had a brother who was older than them who would eventually come to us as well. And we just jumped in. We just knew that was what we were supposed to do. And we said yes. We had this like feeling like, okay, we need to do this, and they are the biggest, most amazing part of our family. Like they completed our family. All 3 of them are crazy and awesome kids is what we call them.
That's so great. And you know what? They'll be thankful for you forever. We had a family crisis some years ago, where some family members went AWOL, and we had their children for a couple of years. And before that, I'd never paid attention to the need for fostering children. And
Mhm.
honestly, I mean, it changes your lifestyle when you take other kids
It does.
in. And it's, but see, you decided you wanted to do that. And I had that happen within like one day. We were called, boom, this crazy stuff was going on. And the next day we were in court bringing 2 children home, and mine were
That's
big.
insane.
My youngest was
Yeah.
in high school and driving. So
Oh,
yeah, so that was really different. But you are special, and we're thankful for people that do that, because this is what I'm finding, Lonnie, is that a lot of times people who have trouble in their marriages are people who had trouble as children because they were
mhm.
in a tough situation at home, and we carry those burdens and those hurts with us. And unless we, get some kind of help or talk it out, or we're open like you and your spouse are, you know, it's like it festers and it messes up people's lives.
Oh, well, I'll be honest and tell you, my husband and I have gone to therapy many times over the years. And we have a therapist that we go to regularly when things come up. And we're not afraid to admit that. My husband tells people, his staff, all the time. He's like, y'all, you need to go to therapy and I have a recommendation for you. And it's true, because we sometimes need that third party to help us process through. And both of us have seen, I would 100% agree with you that most of the issues that come up stem from childhood trauma or experiences, or lifestyles. That really has come, money issues for me really came about because of how I experienced money when I was younger. And
Absolutely.
trauma, even responding to men, how I respond to his aggressiveness comes, like, that results always has been from how I experienced men in my life when I was younger. So that impacts us for sure. And being able to process that with your spouse so they can hear, oh, now I understand, it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what she experienced, and really changing that narrative has been something that has helped both of us understand each other on a deeper level. His need to be validated or told that he's doing a good job, my need to be seen and allowed to use my voice and encouraged to use my voice. Both of that experience, he's so great right now because we have learned about each other through therapy and unpacking some really hard stuff together.
And probably you need to be appreciated.
Yes.
And see, the little tiny bit that you tell me, once you know, like it's human behaviors,
Sure is.
and once you've studied these kind of things and you hear a little bit, immediately, like his directness, his straightforwardness, awesome thing. Those people are leaders. They
Mm-hmm.
speak out whenever nobody else will, but at the same time, they are very strong-minded, and you're very soft and gentle. So
Yes.
I can imagine there was some challenges here and there. So, but you did the important thing. You went and got
Mm-hmm.
help. And
Yeah.
I think we're in an instant society and people expect everything to work perfectly immediately. Hey, we're both in business. Didn't we think everything would be easier when we went into business than it is?
Oh yeah. With 30 days and striving, making 10K, that would be like the instant success. Yeah, that's what they peddle all day long on the feeds. The truth is, I think it's just like business, like you grow and then you hit a plateau or a roadblock, and we have to figure it out. So sometimes we're in therapy, and then sometimes we are taking a break because we're okay. We've got that part solved, and then something else comes up and you go back. I think that, like, just like in business or anything else in life, or when it's smooth selling, awesome. But when you hit that block, don't be afraid to step in and get an expert to help you, or an
Right.
outside party that, just like you as a coach, to say, hey, let me help you navigate here to be able to break through this next level.
Well, and sometimes you need a mediator.
Yeah,
Somebody who's
absolutely.
just looking at both sides. I always tell couples the important thing is to put the shoes on of the other person. I was just at an event the other day, and let's see, how can you say so you don't like put out too much information, when you're on a podcast? But it was a wonderful couple that one was traveling and doing lots of activities, and one was left at home. And that
Mm,
makes me think about in my earlier days, I was I was a sales director with Mary Kay for 21 years. And so we went to seminars in Dallas, Texas, and did all that kind of fun stuff. And the first year that I went, I was so torn to leave my husband and my children. I'm extremely clingy, and I know it. And so I had such a hard time, and I'd never left them. But once I got gone, sorry, but out of sight, out of mind. It's like you got off with the girls and you're having a good time and you're chatting and you're
yep.
seeing new things, learning new things. And, once I got gone, I just didn't think about it. But when he went to travel and he would be gone for a couple of days, every night is so long when he's not at home, and you're by yourself. And so, I got to see the other side of things. And
Yes.
quite often we only see our side. And if we'll just stop and mentally think about what it's like from their point of view,
Mhm.
Really, it solves a lot of challenges. But the important thing is to, if you have a girlfriend to talk to, a sister to talk to, or whatever, those kind of things help. But literally, when it comes to personality styles, certain styles, clash more than others. And anyway, but you guys have been doing good. So anything else? Like, how about with your kids? Date night? Did you guys do date night or any of that kind of thing? Since you had all these children?
Yeah, that was difficult. We were very intentional to try to find a babysitter and make regular date nights. We couldn't get out as much as we wanted to because finding somebody who could handle 6 kids is not always easy. And it's also costly.
That's what I
So
was going to say.
we were definitely on a
Costly.
budget. Well, when we couldn't go out on date nights or we didn't have a babysitter who could take care of the kids, we were very intentional to find creative ways to connect with each other and do like at home things. So that one of the first things we started doing was we would feed the kids, we would get them to bed or get them settled with in some way, and then he would cook steak for us and we would have like our own meal. We still could get interrupted, but it was just like purposely separating ourselves, making time for us, having like clear time to have connection and conversation that wasn't in the chaos, because it's a lot. We also try to find areas in the house that are like kid off limits. It's not
Mm-hmm.
easy. But even right now, so now that the kids are older, their ages 15 to 9 right now. They're still in our space all the time. But at night, once it's 8 o'clock, they know the living room is mom and dad's space.
Mm-hmm. I've heard
If they're
that.
going to come in the kitchen, they can come in the kitchen, they can get a snack if it's not bedtime, for depending on school nights or whatever. That's our time, and they know it and they respect it. Now there's always flexibility, of course, and it's not every single night, but we try to daily and weekly find a way to connect with each other, even if it's just to sit and watch a show together, sit and have a glass of wine, or have whatever it might be. Even I'll watch a football game with him and just sit next to him.
Mm.
And I didn't like sports. I almost lost him because I told him I didn't like baseball when we first, like, on our first
Whoa.
date.
My
Oh
husband
yeah.
is football, Georgia football.
Yeah, he's football, baseball, all the balls. But I've learned that, like, just sometimes by being interested in what he's interested in, he will also then in turn find some things that I'm interested in, watch something I like, or participate in an activity that I like. He didn't like wine when we first when I was getting into wine. I was like, now he goes and does things like that, or whatever it might be. We're trying things that each other likes because we're interested in experiencing life together. And some of it we don't always cross over. Like, I'm not interested in necessarily doing all the things he wants to do with sports, but that's okay. He knows I'm interested in him because he is my person. And so I'm going to learn enough to be able to keep up.
And it is that give
And
and the
take. Yeah.
take. Give
Yes.
and take. Wow. We just met today because we have seen each other in that Facebook group. Lani, actually, like she said, she is the owner of the Facebook group, and she has a bunch of moms in that group. So it's a great place to go and join if you're building a business and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Lani, I want you to tell me a little bit more about what you actually do. And I'm interested in hearing too, because, you just get bits and pieces when you're in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I'm a business strategist and a mindset coach. So I work with women entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business and they have goals and priorities, but limited time, and you want to work less, make more. That's the whole goal of working for ourselves, right? That's the intention.
Yes.
And oftentimes we end up working a lot and not making the income we want.
Yes.
And there's so many strategies out there right now that there's Facebook and Facebook groups, there's podcasts, there's YouTube channels. You can make reels, you can have digital products, you can do coaching, you can do email lists. There's so many ways to build a business, and there isn't one right way to build a business, truly. And if
Mm-hmm.
somebody is telling you that, they're just trying to sell you their program.
Mm.
But what I do is I come alongside of you, and my focus, and what makes me a little bit different than most coaches, is I come in and I really want to dive in with you to create customized strategies that work for you, your time, and your priorities. I use something called the custom cash formula, which takes your income goal and your time plus your offer, and it maps out exactly what actions you need to do to hit the income goals that you have for your family without taking up all your time and energy, without burnout. And that's the thing that I experienced. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, and my first few businesses, I could tell you some stories of how I was working nonstop. I was staying
Mm-hmm.
up till late in the morning. Talk about contention with your marriage. That was a problem that my husband was trying to encourage me to do my business, but I was taking every bit of free time was on the business or the kids, and he was kind of lonely, and he wanted to encourage me, but I didn't have a good strategy for growth, and it was actually hurting me to do those businesses because I wasn't making enough money to justify it. I was spending all my time focused there, and I was losing out on my marriage with that. So my goal is to help women create really great strategies that they're confident in so that they can say, whatever, if I want to work 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week, I know it's going to help me hit that time. It's going to make me hit my goals in income so that I can have the lifestyle and freedom that I truly want for my family.
And is that private coaching?
So I do private coaching. I also do have a program called Empowered to Profit More. And this is my favorite. This program is a 6-month program where we come in together as a community and a group of women entrepreneurs. And I support you create those custom strategies with a 3-phase program. One, we maximize your time for profit. The second one is we develop your connection marketing plan. And connection marketing is my style of marketing. It is very, very simple. It's 3 things, three phases: connections, conversations, conversions. And it's creating a simple plan to have lots of connections, very strategic conversations that lead to conversions with ease. Because those conversations develop the know, like, and trust factor so that people are saying yes really easily. And then the third phase is to max your growth and impact. And that's through scaling, hiring on a team member, offloading tasks that you don't love to do. So in our program, we support you with doing that. And it is a very affordable program that is accessible to moms of all stages of business. One-on-one coaching is definitely more of an investment, and a more accelerated investment. But this program takes everything that I do with my one-on-one coaches, my one-on-one clients, and I teach it in real time. So it doesn't matter what business you're in. There's girls in the group who are OBM, co-parent coaches, sales coaches, all kinds of industries, and they're developing their custom strategy and finding success and growth through simple strategy that can be done in less time.
Well, I will tell you, after being in business for the past 4 years, and as COVID hit, I was just going on the internet, but I was still out. I was in the world too, the real world, I call it.
Yeah.
But this is the real world too. And
Sure.
being in different programs, it is so great, and you learn so very much. But I think nothing is better than a good coach who knows who's there to listen just to you.
Yeah.
Groups are great too, but when you get that, I think that once you start learning a little bit, getting that private coach who gives you direction exactly what you need to do, I think that really makes a difference.
Yes. And I encourage everyone I come across, I don't, work with me or don't work with me, get support for you, and really look for somebody who's going to see you and not tell you to plug and play their business. If someone's saying, oh, just take this template and these things and do exactly what I do and you're going to have success, that's a 1% chance that you will. It's like trying to copy someone who had a viral video. That there's no predictability with that.
Mhm.
You really can't repeat that with confidence. It can happen multiple times, but it's not a really predictable model because things are constantly changing, just like you are constantly changing. So really having a coach, whether it's in a program like Empower to Profit More or one-on-one, have someone who is going to really dive in deep with you and say, I see you. I see what your goals are. I understand what your priorities are, your personality, your zone of genius. That's the person who's going to help you get the most success.
And it's also important to find a coach that is literally just understanding or easy, firm enough, yet understanding enough to don't try to copy somebody who is opposite of who you are. It's really what I'm saying.
Yes.
Don't try to copy somebody who's opposite of who you are, because you can't be that. You have to be yourself.
You
Yeah,
do. You do. I'm a mom with 6 kids, and half of my kids have special needs, and they're all unique children. And I'm also a unique person, personality wise. And when I compare myself to other coaches, other people in different industries who I'm like, oh, they have kids like me, and I should be where they are in this amount of time that they've been at. That's just setting me up for frustration and failure.
absolutely.
And every time I've tried to copy somebody else's business model or strategy, I've just been super frustrated. So if somebody is frustrated with their business, that's where I love to come in and say, let's stop trying to be someone else. Let's be you, because that's actually how you're going to make your business grow, because people are going to be attracted to you, especially as an entrepreneur. When you're the face of the program, the face of the company, people love to be connected to people. And that's why I love connection marketing. We want to connect face to face and have those conversations, because that is how you're going to stand out on this busy online space.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put in actually where they can get it today. And your people are going to love this. And people who are working on their marriage are going to love this. It is actually the personality styles. It's a cheat sheet with all the style things on there. I'm going to put
Awesome.
that in there. And how can people get in touch with you?
So you can join the Facebook community. That's free. The Brilliant Mompreneurs Society. That's totally free. That's LaniJackson.com/community, or search it on Facebook if you're a mom entrepreneur. You can also follow me on Instagram, Lani J. Jackson, and I have a podcast, the Brilliant Mompreneurs Podcast. You can follow me over there. And I love DMs. So you can DM me on Facebook, on Instagram. I love chatting in the DMs, and happy to answer any questions and connect with you there.
That's wonderful. So you'll find these things in the show notes, and there might be an opt-in where you opt into something too to get it. But thank you, Lani. You have been so awesome. And the thing is it's like we just met personally today. I've seen your pictures, like I said, in the Facebook group. We've never talked before, and it's just like talking to a friend. And that's what I find is that no matter where people live, we're all so very much the same. And we want the same things. And, people just being good to each other and just supporting each other.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on here. And it's so good to talk to you.
Thank you, Lani.